Peugeot got a lot right with this second generation 308, which came out back in 2013. They really moved the game on from their older cars like the previous 308 and the 307. The cars in the 2000s that Peugeot were not at their best. It seemed like they were back on form when this 308 came out over a decade ago. It's a far more sophisticated car. It's lower, wider, its wheels are at all four corners, so it's lighter, it handles better, it looks better. And now these cars can be picked up for not all that much money. In fact, they're a very tempting proposition for anyone in the market for a sort of mid-sized family hatchback. But the question is, if it is on the level of, the Germanic competition like the Volkswagen Golf, the one that everybody compares all the cars like this to, then why is it still so cheap? Why has it lost so much value over time? Well, if you're interested in this car, or you're just someone who watches my channel anyway, love you guys, please do stick around for a full review of this Peugeot 308. So as I say, it's a good looking car, the 308. Not absolutely standout special, but just, solid looking quality design to it. It's the inside of the car where Peugeot's effort really shows. The cockpit style arrangement that they've got, and Peugeot call it that themselves, the i-cockpit. You've got the dials up above the steering wheel, and then this tiny little steering wheel below, which makes the car feel a little bit nippier, a little bit dartier, kind of like like an F1 steering wheel, because it takes just less input to turn the car, and therefore it makes it a little bit easier to drive around town. And then all of the information that you want to know is above the steering wheel instead of looking underneath the top of it like you would in every other car ever. I do like the central screen in front of the driver, which has the speed in big LCD letters, and the rev counter, which goes backwards a bit like an Aston Martin. It's very minimalist. It's quite a nice design to look at. You've got the central infotainment screen angled towards the driver, a very minimalist set of buttons underneath, so really all you have is things like hazards and then the rear screen. This car's done 88,000 miles and it's pretty creak and rattle free. There's not any annoying noises in this cabin. Everything still looks brand new in here. There's a couple of little scratches, but it's just really aged well. It is often the infotainment systems, the controls here in the middle, that really let down the more budget brands like Peugeot, and it's definitely the case here because they needed to use a more powerful processor for that screen. It's just slightly too laggy. You press things and then it just hesitates, and that's not a pleasant user experience, especially when every control is on that screen. So unless you opted for the base spec of this car, which was called the Access, you did get some pretty decent equipment. Now this is the next one up, the Active, and it came with dual zone climate control with air conditioning, rear parking sensors, automatic headlights and wipers. You also got lumbar adjust, but only for the driver, but I do love a bit of lumbar. If you went up another spec to the Allure, then you would get a reversing camera and electric folding mirrors. So this car doesn't have electric folding mirrors, which is a bit annoying. If you're a 308 connoisseur, the one you really want is the Feline spec. Now that as standard came with big panoramic sunroof, which is glass all the way over the car, dynamic cruise control with automatic collision detection braking, and you also got keyless entry and some big sporty wheels and sporty seats as well. You could also option for heated leather seats with the massage functionality as well, which would be very nice. It rides well, it's got a smooth ride, comparable to the Golf, better than cars like the Astra, and it's easy to drive, of course. You could get the 308 with either a 5 or 6 speed manual gearbox or a 6 or 8 speed automatic. The gearbox it's not the nicest gearbox I've ever used, but it's absolutely fine. You can adjust the steering wheel to any position you like. It's pretty easy to get into a good driving position. You've got the usual kind of places to store things in the front of the car. A glove box, which is not massive because it's half taken up by the fuse box, but redeems itself a bit because it's actually air conditioned and cooled, so you can keep your food and drinks cold inside the glove box. You've got a nice big door bin which will fit the fat bottom bottle, but it doesn't quite fit in the cup holder that's in the centre here, and then you've got an armrest with a few bits and bobs underneath it. All of these cars came with USB and aux in, and of course they also came with DAB radio as well. When are you going to talk about the wet belt then? Yeah, I'll talk about it later, I promise I will. But to be honest mate, you're a bit of a wet belt. How dare you? It's not too bad back here. The legroom is less than some of its rivals like the Golf, the Focus, the Astra. It's a little bit cramped, but that's made up for by the fact that it's got an absolutely massive boot on the back, the biggest of its time in this class. And of course you can fold the seats down. They don't fold down flat. I've got electric windows in the back, but they were not on the very base model, so you do have to go up to the active like this car for that. A little storage hole down here, some pockets on the back of the seats, again, not on the very base spec car. So yeah, I would say great for small families, kids in the back, but if you were like taking all your mates, like all your adult mates somewhere on a long road trip, you might want to spec up to a bit of a bigger car. There was also an estate version known as the SW, so if the boot wasn't big enough, you can opt for the estate version, which has even more space. It's got a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating as well, which means for its time it was about as safe as it gets. And that of course is very important if you're considering this car as a family car. Because it's quite a lightweight car and it's got that little F1 steering wheel, although it's not absolutely set up to be a sporty car, there's quite a lot of body roll. Because it's lightweight, it's quite fun to drive, actually. It's more of a relaxing car than it is a sporty car, but lightweight is so important when it comes to making a car fun. The other good thing is that cruising along in this car at 70 miles an hour, the car engine is not struggling, it's at 2,500 RPM, it's quite low, so it makes this car a bit of an effortless cruiser, really. The cruise control stalk's kind of annoying because you can't really see it. I'd have to like steer the steering wheel out the way of the stalk, and I'd end up crashing into the verge here if I wanted to see what it did. Obviously, once you get used to where all the buttons are, I'm sure it's fine. Basically, most of these cars had either a 1.2 litre petrol or a 1.6 diesel, and this car's got the 1.2 litre petrol known as the PureTech, and that is a very nippy little 3-cylinder engine, 1.2 litre with a turbocharger, and it'll do 0 to 60 in like 9 seconds because this car is so light. It's under 1,100 kilos, which makes this car pretty economical. You easily get an average of 40 mpg out of this car. It's got decent low down torque, and you put your foot down, oh, it really does surge forward. And because it's a 3-cylinder like most modern small petrol engines, it's got a little bit of a sort of rumble nice noise to it as well. But, and now here is the big but, this engine was designed around the concept of something called a wet timing belt. Not the best idea that's ever happened in modern car technology. It's a timing belt that's running in oil, and the issue is that over time the oil degrades the belt and the bits of belt get into the oil pickup, which gets blocked, and then you starve the engine of oil. You can reduce the chances of it by servicing it regularly and with the exact correct oil that the car needs, as well as also replacing the timing belt every 60,000 miles, although apparently it's recommended even earlier than that, maybe 40,000. Because if you don't, you're going to end up eventually with engine failure. Now this particular car I'm driving today is quite a high mileage example at 88,000 miles, and it's had lots of servicing and the belt has been replaced a few times. So for that reason, I would probably recommend the 1.6 litre diesel, which you do still need to maintain the car properly and have it serviced regularly, and make sure if you're buying one that it's full service history, because the diesels are not without faults as well, of course. Any diesel engine is going to have potential issues with DPFs and AdBlue, and buy on condition, buy a good condition car, and you should be okay. So the honest truth is, as a petrol head, I have genuinely enjoyed driving this car today. It's a very nice, easy car to drive. It's very smooth and relaxing and quiet. Because of its lightweight, a little bit of dynamism to it when you put it into the corners. To use that horrible cliche, it's a nice place to be. Well, it is inside here, the cockpit, and it's very different. What a shame that they just missed out on those reliability issues there, but a big thank you to Ellis for bringing this car out to me today. Ellis is only 19 years old, and this is a really great car for a 19-year-old, I think. Not quite Peugeot's redemption, but they were getting there. A few teething issues. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.